Do you like music?
I hate it.
No, you don't. Do you like music?
I love music.
You love music? I love music. And I love you. Grab your favorite pair of headphones. And let's listen to this. So, Drinky McDrink Pants. Cheers.
Cheers.
For today's Headphone Hideaway, we're going to talk about an album that I love, an album that Stacy loves. For one, I know that all of you kind of came down on Stacy after the Incubus video.
It wasn't. Listen, he said that it was my least favorite album. I hate that band. So if I had any ability at all to listen to that band, I probably would like that album, but I fucking hate Brandon. Awful.
All right, we're getting off on a bad foot.
Awful.
We're getting off on a terrible foot.
Awful.
But we're going to talk about something that Stacy likes today and something that I like as well. And that would, of course, be the classic, legendary debut album from the one and only Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. You have one too, don't you? So I don't think that there's a person on planet Earth that doesn't know who Guns N' Roses is, or this album, or at least songs from this album. Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, Sweet Child of Mine, classic songs, even outside of the world of rock and roll. These are just classic songs, period. This album came out in 1987, and it really laid the blueprint for so much stuff. And there's a lot of really cool stuff when I revisited this album the other day that I never really caught before, because the singles really shine. You know, everybody knows Welcome to the Jungle. Everybody knows Sweet Child of Mine. Everybody knows Paradise City. But there's songs on here like fucking Think About You that sound like, it almost sounds like a Descendants song to me. This was like literally 10 years before the Descendants put out Everything Sucks. And Think About You sounds like it could be on Everything Sucks, if I'm being completely honest. And there's also a lot of stuff on here too that reminds me of very early Faith No More, but all of the weird deep cut songs, not necessarily the songs that people always know. It's just like a really cool album, very, very diverse and just unapologetically unique. I mean, after listening to this again, I hadn't listened to it in a long time, but really listening to it from front to back, I was like, oh, I totally get why this band fucking blew up. It's just a very, very diverse collection of cool rock songs. Stacy, how do you feel about this album?
Dude, I used to steal this album from my dad's cassette collection when I was like 14. And it was probably before I was 14. I think it was like maybe 12 or 13. But like he could never find this cassette because I always had it. But yeah, I loved it.
There's even parts in like Think About You, like in the chorus, there's like kind of like a light guitar and a keyboard synth thing that almost sounds like The Cure. In a lot of weird ways.
Yeah.
Like there's like all of this strange, like you think of Welcome to the Jungle and you think of all of the hits, but they were so much more than that. And I think that I've been like very ignorant in overlooking that for a long time. It makes me really want to like go back and listen to Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, because that's a lot of music.
Right.
And the only songs that I can think of, it's like November Rain is what I'm thinking of. But there's so much more. There's
so much more to.
But yeah, I haven't listened to those albums since I was a kid. I don't have them. I need to come across them and check them out again, because like very, very unique, cool songs, and a lot of them I think get overlooked. So I would say if anybody hasn't really listened to this album in a long time or ever, even if you're not a fan of like Welcome to the Jungle or Paradise City, like check out the other tracks that you've never heard on this album, because there's some really fucking cool stuff.
I think that Night Train was my favorite. Like
Night
always had been my favorite. That was the one that I would listen to over and over again.
Yeah.
It's a bop.
I mean, this might be like, you know, probably the coolest album that's entirely about drugs. I'm not a big drug guy, but I mean, like, yeah, It's So Easy, which isn't necessarily a Guns N' Roses deep cut. So much of Axl's vocal performance on that reminds me of early Mike Patton and Faith No More. And I don't know if I'm a crazy person for thinking this. I don't know if other people have correlated that together. They did tour with Guns N' Roses, and for a long time, it always made me feel like that was a really weird pairing. But after listening to this again, it honestly kind of makes sense. I don't feel like there's that too much of a dissimilarity
I feel
between
like it makes sense.
between what Faith No More was doing and the stuff that Axl Rose was doing. I think there's a lot of parallels there.
I think I used to listen to a lot of Faith No More along with, like, around the same time that I was listening to this album. So I think it totally makes sense.
But I know that, like, when Faith No More was playing those shows, I don't think the Guns N' Roses crowd really
I didn't even know that they even, like, toured together at all.
I don't think that the Guns N' Roses crowd was very fond of Faith No More. And I think that it could be one of those situations where, like, you know, the artists who are Guns N' Roses and the songs that they have written, they could probably see some of themselves in what Faith No More was doing. And they were like, this band is fucking awesome. We want to take them out on the road. But all of Guns N' Roses fans, or at least the majority of them, are like, I just want to hear Welcome to the Jungle and the rest of this can fuck off. Honestly,
I wouldn't say those are fans, though. I think they're just fanboys.
Well, that's the thing. I think that there's a lot of people that love Guns N' Roses, or maybe people that own Guns N' Roses t-shirts or things like that. But it's like, you know, these deep cuts, it's just like, there's some really, really cool stuff on this album that you don't fucking hear people talk about. And I was like, this is like, I think that these songs are like better than the hits. Don't get me wrong. Like, I totally understand why Welcome to the Jungle is such a huge song. It's a motherfucker of a song. And not every single track on this album can be a radio hit. It's just, like, statistically impossible. But there's some really, really cool stuff on this album. I think that if you've never really listened to this album, and if you're a fan of rock music, like, you should definitely check it out. And, like, keep an open mind too, and consider, like, how much shit was inspired in one way or another from this album. And also, like, taking, like, what they were listening to at the time. Like, My Michelle sounds like early, like, Killers era Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. I just love the idea of, like, Axl Rose and Slash being like, yo, like, I like this thing that Iron Maiden's doing, and, like, yo, I like this thing that The Cure's doing, and, like, whatever other, like, weird influences you can pull out of this album. Because there's also a lot of, like, real, like, bluesy Southern rock stuff. Like, Mr. Brownstone has this, like, twang to it that is super, super cool.
Brian's dancing with Mr. Brownstone.
I am not. I am not dancing with Mr. Brownstone.
It's not.
I am not. Did we say that this is a drug album?
I don't actually know what Mr. Brownstone
Heroin.
is. My dad actually used to tell me that he was the devil.
The devil?
And that's how he explained that to me. He just said that was the devil, and that was it.
Do you get it now?
Dope. Hail Satan.
Mr. Brownstone's heroin.
I get it. I guess. I get it. Gross.
That's why he won't leave him alone.
Fuck.
Yeah. I'll tell you. But I mean, heroin is the devil. So your dad danced around that.
He was dancing.
Very, very well. So, I mean, we could talk about this for another half hour.
Good job, Chuck Stockdale, trying to explain drugs to a 14-year-old.
I think we got the point across. So if you have never checked this out, again, please check it out. If you are a fan of this album, let me know, like, how on base or off base you think I am with some of the things that I said regarding, like, influences or things that it inspired in the future. I'd be curious to know what you think about that. I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's a classic rock album. But I feel like it's so much more than that if you scratch beneath the surface. And if you're not aware, I think you should be aware. And this is definitely going to make me go back and revisit other Guns N' Roses stuff. Because I don't know. I'm
just going to keep listening to this one on repeat until I get sick of it again.
Well, we at least have 2 copies of it. So if we ruin one, we can listen to the other. Yeah. We didn't even get into the album covers. If you're wondering why there's 2 different album covers for this album, you can look that up yourself.
Or you can just make an inference on what they look like. Why one was banned and the other one was more widely accepted.
Well, anyways.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. A very good album, a very important album. If you've never listened to it, give it a listen. It ain't a hard one to find. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you.
Eat some pizza.
Eat some pizza. Can we order a pizza?
Do you want to eat some pizza?
I would love to eat a pizza.
Pizza.
We already made dinner and ate it.
Let's order a pizza and find something cool on Shudder.
We're going to eat some pizza and find a cool horror movie on Shudder. So I'm taking care of myself and the people around me. You do the same. Goodbye. Peace out.